Ray Mofield, and along with Shelby McCallum, we'll be recording for about the next 30 minutes or so from the home of Mrs. Luther Draffen in Calvert City. We appreciate the opportunity of getting to talk with her. In the program, which is sponsored by the State Division of Libraries, one copy of this program will be sent to the archives in Frankfort, one to the Pogue Library of Oral History at Murray State University, and another to the Marshall County Library System with branches in Benton, Calvert City, and Hardin. Miss Dora, would you mind telling us where you were born?
In Marshall County.
In good old Marshall.
Marshall County.
Would you tell us when that was?
Well, it's 1899.
1899, which means that you are 83 years old. Well, with that kind of a life experience and being in some rather interesting places and having all those experiences, naturally we want to talk with you. Now, for the benefit of those who are looking for their roots, and we seem to have more and more of them these days, the genealogists, could you tell us your father's name?
John Green.
And your mother, including her maiden name?
Woodson Atwood Green.
Atwood Green. Uh-huh. All right. Do you happen to remember the grandparents on either side of the family?
Yes, sir. Sure do. My father's father was a Baptist preacher, and they lived in Calvert City in my time. I don't know where before. And my mother's father, well, they lived out past what we call Lone Valley now.
Yes.
Atwood.
Mm-hmm.
Wills Atwood.
All right, the name Draffen, have you done any genealogical research? Is that English, Irish, Scottish, Welsh, or?
Really, I don't know.
Uh-huh, all right. Of course, nearly everybody in Kentucky came from a Anglo-Saxon background, so it's probably the British Isles somewhere. Did you happen to attend school at a one-room country school?
Yes, sir. Sure did, Calvert City.
Calvert?
My first school at Calvert City.
And it was a one-room country school. Well, I didn't realize that. We keep hearing...
It wasn't long, though, until they added one small room and then made an upstairs. But that was a school.
Well, what was that school like? It wasn't a log building at all.
No, it was a
frame
building.
Frame building. And do you remember your first teacher?
Yes, sir, Lucy Faust.
Lucy Faust.
Yes, sir.
Can you
Marshall
remember
County, yes,
any others, maybe?
Well, there was one or two more, but I can't think who they are now.
Well, we don't want to put too much burden on you. Lucy Faust.
Lucy
That's
Faust.
good. That may help someone searching for some kind of a problem that we don't know the answer to right now. Your favorite subject was?
Well, we didn't have grade schools then. We just had, they'd tell you what you're going to take, and that is it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, nothing where we like that. And we'd had a coal, no, it's a wood stove, and they'd try to get there and get the room warm for us before we left, and we stayed all day.
Yes, someone told me that schools typically started at 8 in the morning.
8 in the morning. We stayed till 4 in the afternoon.
Stayed till 4.
That's right.
None of this in at 9, out but 2 p.m. routine they have now.
That was out of it.
Well, that's very good. Did you like spelling bees or?
Oh, yes, we had a spelling bee ever so often.
Mm-hmm.
But we just have it here because we didn't have transportation to get all over the country.
No buses.
No buses.
Right. Well, what about discipline in those days? Were the teachers stricter than they are now?
I think so. You didn't sit there and talk anything, and if you kind of keep your eye on her to see what she's going to do. And if you didn't, well, you might get up in the corner.
I just interviewed a fellow named Rickman a while ago who told me that he got several paddlings. Did you?
Well, I didn't get that.
You were a good girl.
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's fine. Now, do you remember anything about the games that you played at school?
Oh, did balls, get out there and try to knock a ball, something like that. We didn't have too much entertainment.
No. Probably it was something like town ball, similar to
Something like
baseball. And you may have had hopscotch and...
Friday afternoon, we'd have a spelling bee or something like that.
All right, now, after you completed your schooling there, what were some of the things that young people did for entertainment?
Oh, at nights, we'd go someplace and have a card party or something like that after it begins to go courting something.
Can you tell us anything about courting customs? How did you meet your husband?
Well, he had a store down here in town, and that's where we shopped.
So you just couldn't keep from avoiding him.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sure didn't.
You didn't go to school with him?
Oh, no. He was out of school, trying to make a living.
Uh-huh. In other words, did he rob the cradle?
Well, not exactly.
Oh, did he give you a charge account?
No, he didn't. Sure didn't.
Strictly cash.
Yeah, that's right. That's where my mother bought her groceries.
Was that then Draffen Brothers store?
Yes, it's the Draffen Brothers store.
So that was Mr. Luther and his
Mert.
brother Mert.
That's right.
Now, I knew his Mert's son, William Roy, real well. We were in the same class at Murray State. And I believe he's still in the area, married Little,
Yeah,
Addie Mae
Addie
Little.
Mae Little.
All right, so you started shopping there, and did he fall for you?
Well, I don't know. We both failed.
It was a mutual affair.
Yes,
then.
it was.
Okay.
Well, I have to say one thing. We had a good wedding, a good life.
Tell us, were there any amusing incidents about you didn't drop a glove in front of him, let him pick it up?
Oh,
or
no.
He didn't, did he give
No,
you an
he couldn't
extra
see
bar
well
of
like
candy?
that.
Or?
Oh, once in a while.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was Calvert City like in those days?
Well, it was just as country as anything could be.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it was. And I don't know what else you could say about it.
But it was on the railroad.
On the railroad, yes, sir. And on Sunday afternoons, that's where everybody went to meet the trains, just see who's going and who's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Well, that sounds a whole lot like my hometown of Hardin. The joke was some conductor told a fellow traveling through there once who had asked the population of Hardin. They said, well, I don't know, but you can count them all. They'll meet the train.
Well, that little town has grown considerably since then.
Oh, it certainly has, and I know you and your husband had some part to play with that. Now, did you have children?
Have one son.
And that is James Luther Draffen. He's still living.
Yes, he works. He's got his business over there in the shopping center.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 5 grandchildren.
Oh, 5 grandchildren? Well, how many children does he have?
Huh? He just has 2 boys.
He has 2 boys, but between them, they have
Yeah, that's right.
5 different children.
One of them has 2 girls, and the other one has 3 boys. He lives in Memphis.
All right, what did Mr. Luther always run that store? When did he get started in the bank?
Well, after he retired from the store, he started in the bank.
Uh-huh.
That,
Well, now he got out of the active management of the store.
Yes.
Did he own any part of it then?
well, we sold our part of it.
Uh-huh.
And then,
Mr. Mert bought that
Yes, sir.
part. And about what year was the bank organized? Do you remember, roughly?
it'd have to be rough. I don't remember exactly.
Ray, can I interpose just a second?
Surely.
I think this would be of interest to the people. I think it's unique. Mr. Luther told me one time that for many years that he and Mr. Mert, everything they owned was joint,
That's right.
including their homes, the furniture. Now, he didn't say the wives, but he
But about the
said
furniture now, that didn't go
it
with it.
didn't well.
No.
But he said everything they owned was joint, and of course everybody.
Business property, but
Yeah.
not household
That's right.
effects. Yeah, okay.
And I think we ought to point out too, I think that he is acknowledged as the leading promoter of progress in the industrialization and in other civic efforts. I know we talked to David E. Lilienthal at length from WCBL, and he referred to him as the one man most responsible for the location of the dam and the industry that is located here in Calvert City, which has made it so progressive.
All right,
Well,
thank
we
you,
entertained
Shelby.
a lot of men here when they're trying to get the dam, going.
I believe he first started about 1928, but then they organized, at his urging, an outfit called the Lower Tennessee Valley Development
Yes,
Authority.
sir.
I hate
And
to
that
butt
was-
in so much,
Well,
but
you know more about it
I was
than I do.
over here a lot, and I remember Mr. Colbert came to the bank and gave Mr. Luther a gold watch and said, "This is our thanks for your courtesy, but we're not going to locate here." And Mr. Luther gave him the watch back.
And he told him he wasn't going to wear it till they said that they was going to come down here with their company. And they did.
And of course, after the first Tennessee Valley Authority Board was organized, it had 2 Morgans on it, plus David Lilienthal. And I've forgotten there was there were 2 different fellows named Morgan, but they weren't related.
No, that's right.
And Mr. Luther and the Lower Tennessee Valley group just kept going and kept going and kept going. And at one time, they talked about the Aurora Dam. You may remember that.
They fought that pretty hard,
And then eventually, success came from a little bit of an unexpected direction. As I recall some of the stories, a Republican senator from Nebraska named George Norris got in behind this unit, and they rejected the bid that Henry Ford had made to take over Muscle Shoals and to build other dams. And suddenly they got the bill through, and Roosevelt signed it, and they began the development of the valley. But still, they didn't have a dam at Gilbertsville.
That's right.
And finally, along about, I guess, the very early part of '38, wasn't it,
Something like that, yes.
that success came.
I'll never forget that when he found out that they had okayed the plan. Why, he was on his way to Washington just to kind of see if he couldn't get it going. At that time, we thought it was gone.
Mhm.
And so he hadn't quite got to Louisville. We had to go that way from here then. And the dispatcher come down and said they had this telegram that they wasn't going to let them have it. And I said, well, I'll try to see if I can stop him in Louisville, come back. And so when he got the word, it was ready for him when he got there. And when he got there, he said, well, I'm going on to Washington and go before him and thank him for it. So he went on to Washington for that.
Well, that was a good strategic move, I would say, on his part. And then, of course, in '38, things really began to move. They began sending the location survey crews, and we that turned out to be, I guess, 38, 39 was the last year that the high schools at Birmingham and Gilbertsville operated, and they began to develop it very much. Of course, that was a key to all of it. But then there remained a lot of other work to be done.
Oh, they had a lot of people that come in and looked at the grounds and everything, and one company, they said they just wasn't coming. I don't know which one it was. And so then he started in on them. And he went up to, I think it was Washington where he went, I don't, New York maybe, and went up there to tell them that they should not give it up.
Mm-hmm.
Ray, I hate to interfere so
you
much,
do
but
it.
I've got another thought or two if you permit me.
Okay, come right ahead.
I don't want to offend you about it.
Well, I'm glad you
But I do
did.
happen to know about these things. I knew Earl Clements very well, and so did Mr. Luther, and they were good friends. And when Governor Willis was governor, he proposed one state park at Aurora. And Mr. Luther started immediately working on Earl Clements to try to get Kentucky Dam Village built. And he was successful.
They thought they was going to have to have that one up there, too, for a long time.
That would be the only one they thought necessary. And then let me tell you what, Earl Clements has told me this. He said, Mr. Luther, won't you ever get off my back? He, no sooner had they decided to build a park than Mr. Luther said we need an airport at Kentucky Dam Village.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty good. Then one more thing, and then I'll turn it back over to you. When they dedicated the dam, and I just went up and looked at Mr. President Truman's picture, Mr. Luther had President Truman and all of the big dignitaries from Washington down in the basement of this house for a hot dog supper.
Oh, yes.
Very good.
That was
That was-
headquarters was my basement down there.
Was that October the 10th, 1945, and I was in my glory at the time. I got to broadcast the thing and feed it out, of course. We were the CBS station for Paducah. And not only that, there were two other originations there that same day. And that was WSM Nashville aired it with a fellow named Cousin Louis Buck, who had some note in the Grand Ole Opry. And WLW Cincinnati, I believe, had Peter Grant here, and they were the nation station in Cincinnati, Ohio. So it was quite a day. President Truman was guarded by 15,000 troops from Camp Campbell, not Fort Campbell.
a
It
big
was
crowd
Fort
there.
now, but not then.
That's right. But it was whenever they got those watches, why that gave him one, I think maybe Charles Hall, and so when Luther went up on, they was in Washington. Where were they? In Louisville? Louisville. Or
Now really, I was overseas in Germany.
was you? I don't
Well,
remember
I've
where, but
heard
anyway, they decided to go back up there and see what they could do. And so then they said, well, let's go back down there, and maybe he knows something that we don't. And that's whenever another one of these plants came.
Now, did you fix those hamburgers, Miss?
I sure did.
And you had Cap Krug, who was Secretary of the Interior here, and you had Senator Barkley, and
My basement
President
was
Truman.
headquarters when that time there wasn't any other place, and so that's the only place they had. And they come in here sometimes with mud to their knees, you know, and Luther'd get them some more boots and wash them up. It's real interesting.
well, president or no president, he still got hungry, didn't
He
he?
got hungry, sure did.
I noticed Miss Bess, a great lady, has recently died
Yes.
in the last
Mhm.
couple of months or so. Well, that certainly is one of the more interesting things, but still there remained a lot of work to be done. Now, I was here for that dedication and did the broadcast of it for the CBS stations. There was as yet no industry. Now, there were a lot of people interested, but
Now, they
the
still
big breakthrough had not yet
No,
come.
hadn't, sure had.
Now, that turned out to be a company called Pensalt
And salt.
of Philadelphia. Do you remember anything about that?
I remember it, but I don't know their names or anything like that because it's been so long ago. But that was the first plant.
And this, I think, was 1947 when they moved in. And after that, it sort of became a flood for a little while,
Yeah,
and
it did.
a number of other people were seeing what Pensalt had done, moved into it, and we had a real industrial revolution going on around Calvert City.
I told us, of course, it all headquartered here, and I told them, I said, I've heard more damn talk than anybody in this state.
Yeah. Well, you remember when they had a little paper, I believe Kirby Jennings printed it, and he said something about the best town in Kentucky by a dam site.
Well, that's right.
Yeah. D-A-M-S-I-T-E, but if you just heard it orally, you might think it had a double entendre
Yeah,
on
I
it.
told them I'd heard more damn talk than anybody in the state.
We came up with the air reduction group and those particular plants, and then Pittsburgh Metallurgical, it was at that time.
We really had some fine people
Yes.
settle here.
And
Okay.
not only did it make Calvert City, it made all of Marshall County. And with some 3,500 jobs or so, it really helped out. McCracken, Livingston, Lyon,
Well, that's it.
even Callaway County
Some of them
drove
would
here.
drive over here from Illinois,
Hmm.
from there every day.
Well, that's certainly true. And without that, I think we would still be the Marshall County that while we loved it, it was either the poorest or very near the bottom of all the 120 counties in Kentucky,
Right.
because we didn't have very good farmland, and it was a small county and no industry.
That's right.
So,
Well, it's been a lifesaver for all of us, I guess.
all right, what all started changing? The schools began to change, did they
Well,
not?
everybody, when they had children, they was interested in what our schools, you know,
Mhm.
what kind we had here, and it brought it right out.
So they built a new
Built a
school
new
at Calvert
school.
City.
That's
They remodeled and redid and moved, and I guess built a new school at Gilbertsville. As far as the state park is concerned, Governor Clements and Henry Ward worked out a very good deal with TVA to take over the old construction village for, I believe, a fee of $1, wasn't it, Shelby?
That is correct.
They paid $1 for that.
Okay.
And of course, they had a lot of money to spend and many things to do, but they got a lot too. They got a sewage system, a water system with that, and certain older buildings there that really are still being used. I guess that theater is still in operation in 1983. I know, I went to something there last summer, and the area up around the old post office and the gift shop. Of
Well,
course,
each year it seems like they're adding on to it, you know, and it's really come out.
all right, the churches changed, did
Oh,
they
I
not?
reckon so.
Now,
Sure did.
I don't remember a whole lot about Calvert City. That was the other side of the county, and I was too poor to get over here. But I can recall, for example, let's say the Church of Christ was in an old building that was much smaller than the new one they have out on the highway
It was
now.
right down this
Was
street
just
there.
barely down the street from you, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure that the Methodists and the Baptists did the same thing. And we didn't have a Catholic church.
No.
Now
know that now.
they have an operation, and I don't know how many more. So it changed the religious life of the community.
Really
What about the business life? Was certainly changed a lot. Did the Draffens expand their stores?
Sure did.
The bank was increased. Where didn't you go out and build a new site in recent years for the bank?
Bank, yes, it's over on this side. It's over there in the new part now.
On Fifth Avenue, I believe.
Avenue, uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's a
Is
good bank.
the previous bank building being used?
Well, yes, I think they sold it to somebody or rented it or something. But anyway, they have an upstairs, and I think they have some kind of activities up there. You know, I don't know what it is. And then the elections is always downstairs, and they use it for different things, but I don't know for what.
Then of course, the electric system was expanded, the water system has been expanded, sewage was installed. I don't think you had that when the dam was built.
We've had just a few of us had somebody that they had wells, and we got that. And that was all we had.
And Lawrence Solomon ran the old electric plant.
And then when everything got pretty good, well, then his place burned, you know. And then we had the time. We had a pump and some water out back there. Yeah.
Yes.
Our house first.
Then, of course, it made a tremendous difference in city government, didn't it?
Yes.
You,
Well, in fact, we were not incorporated at that time, I don't think.
That's right.
Duckett, was Duckett the...
Oh, yeah, Duckett was here. He's real busy.
And then, of course, now Dr. Colburn is mayor, and you
He's
have
made
a
a good mayor.
very active city council, and I noticed as we drove by a beautiful city hall
Yeah, they do have.
with
They really do.
just about everything you could imagine, and even the more advanced urban areas, and you've organized a Christmas parade every year that's outstanding, and
And our schools are better too, you know.
well, they certainly are much better than they were in the days when I can remember first coming to Calvert City, playing basketball and so on. Well, with Colburn leading the way, the city council has been able to expand the area of Calvert until the population in the 1980 census, I believe, had risen up to about, was it what, 2,800 persons, I believe.
I don't know how much it is. I haven't heard it lately.
When they first started the dam, the population then was about 250.
See, all this is incorporated out in here now, and it's part of the city.
You've,
Clear on out to the highways.
so you've multiplied the town by 10 as far as population, and I imagine as far as wealth is concerned, you've multiplied it by 100.
Well, I don't know about the wealth. Things been kind of slow around here.
Well, they are everywhere in the
Everywhere.
recession right now, but you have a great convalescent center.
Yes, we do.
That's a
That's
beautiful
just
place.
remarkable how they're doing that over there. They
And
have 100 people there.
you have, well, I don't know what all you have. I really didn't research it, but I do know that one of my college classmates, Dick Koch, was that his name? Is he a dentist here?
Yeah,
And I believe his son is
son's a dentist.
a dentist. Mayor Colburn, of course, is a physician.
His son's
His
in there.
son Richard is with him as a physician now, and Shelby, what's the other physician's name?
Trailer.
Traylor, yeah, Dr. Traylor.
Trailer works some in Paducah, but he's mainly out here.
Yeah.
So the medical life of the
Oh, I
community
reckon it is.
has just increased enormously,
Sure has.
and that has made Calvert, of course, a much better place for everyone to live than it had been before that. And
That's right.
when you get to thinking about the results of what Mr. Luther and his ideals strove for and achieved, and how long it's going to last, it'll go right on into eternity, I
He
guess.
enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that beautiful Lincoln that you had. Is it still around?
It's still here, and it's we had it kind of gone over this last fall, and it'll still run.
Mm-hmm. You're not wanting to sell it, I don't suppose.
No, I'd have to leave home.
In other words, James Luther wants it. Well, Shelby, we don't have a chance. I believe he's got an inside tip on that one. Well, Shelby usually comes in, we're getting to the end of our program again, and he generally asks you some questions about your life in Marshall County and so on. Shelby?
Yes, thank you, Ray. Before I ask my usual question, I would be recreant to a resolve I made at the start of this program if I didn't, and you did not include it because perhaps you haven't been in Frankfurt as much as I have, and I might add that many of my 18 years in Frankfurt I probably owed to Mr. Luther because I think he supported me every race.
Anything you did, he always...
But I just had to say this, Ray. He was a great friend of every governor that we had with whom I served, from Clements on, including an occasional Republican. Mr. Nunn thought an awful lot of him. And I remember one time...
Governor Willis liked him.
Absolutely, yes. But I wasn't in politics then. But anyway, I remember one governor, I believe it was Ned Breathitt, there was something that was being proposed, and Ned says, well, damn it, we've got to do it because Luther Draffen came up here and said he wanted it done. And so now I'll ask Miss Dora this question. If you had your life to live over again, would you still pick Marshall County?
Yes, sir, I sure would.
Well, you're about the over again, would you still pick Marshall County?
Yes, sir, I sure would.
Well, you're about the 25th or 30th that we've interviewed, and your answer fits right in with the rest, and it's been a real pleasure.
I guess I've lived in Calvert City longer than anybody that's living here now.
Well, good. We wish you many, many more happy birthdays.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shelby. And thank you, Miss Dora. Do you have any last-minute bit of wisdom you want to get on the tape?
Not that I know of.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. As Shelby says, I'm Ray Mofield, and we've done this for the State Library Division. One copy of the tape to go to the archives in Frankfurt, one to the Murray State Library, and one for the Marshall County Libraries, and all paid for by WCBL, Shelby McCallum owner.
In a place over on this hill, on that side, I guess it had lived on that one. I've lived in all four corners. When I first moved to Calvert City, there
You never did get lost, did you?
No, I didn't get lost. My grandfather lived over there. We come in town to take care of him. Well, then when I married, I moved, we lived on that side over there where the shopping center is.
Mm-hmm.
And now then I'm over here on this one. And if it had just been something on that corner, I'd have been over there.
You'd have taken it,
There
too.
used to be a stock barn on there when we moved to town, and we didn't get a chance at that one.
Well, again, our thanks, and that concludes our broadcast for today.